A standoff in Bosnia between Serb forces and French UN troops. And with just 4 alternates to go in the Simpson trial, the latest ousted juror denies any impropriety. This is the CBS Evening News. And hello, everybody. Russ Mitchell reporting. I'm sitting in tonight for Bob Schieffer. Good evening. Another tense day in the continuing conflict in Bosnia. More than 200 peacekeepers, mostly French, are being held hostage by Serb forces after 2 NATO airstrikes. In addition, at least 8 UN officers have been chained by the Serbs and are being used as human shields to prevent more attacks. Barry Peterson has the latest.
Not a good day for a place called a safe zone, but this day, French UN soldiers were fighting back. 2 of their own died after Serbs, masquerading as French troops, captured part of a bridge. The French attacked to get it back. They got only half.
But today we make war, okay? Yeah. You can do what you want.
Sarajevo knows this bridge well. A woman, Suada Delbirovic, was shot here 3 years ago, the city's first casualty of war. 10,000 have followed her into the grave. Meanwhile, the Serbs continue to hold UN personnel that we in the outside world call hostages. Guess how the Serbs see it?
You call those troops hostages. We call them enemies.
After a UN emergency meeting, Bosnia's UN ambassador demanded action.
We frankly hope that the United Nations and NATO are in fact prepared to make a turning point for real solution. If they back down, I think frankly we're in for a long haul.
NATO headquarters in Brussels was not responding with bombs today, but with words.
The alliance, with the full solidarity of its members, condemns in the strongest terms the outrageous behavior of the Bosnian Serbs.
America's Secretary of Defense held a hasty London meeting with European counterparts and said the bombing was precise to avoid civilian casualties.
And the claims by the Serbs to the contrary are just wrong.
The tough talk in Europe's capitals is all well and good, but the Serbs remain unmoved. And why not? They know that for the moment, they forced NATO with its sophisticated jets and laser-guided bombs to back off. But for how long? The Americans now have the aircraft carrier Roosevelt within striking distance. The French are sending their own carrier. NATO can certainly blast the Serb military machine to pieces. But tonight in Europe, they're asking, at what cost? Barry Peterson, CBS News, London.
Late this afternoon, President Clinton discussed the Bosnia situation by phone with French President Jacques Chirac and British Prime Minister John Major. And for more insight into what's going on, we are joined from the Pentagon by CBS News national security correspondent David Martin. And David, the first question for you. In your mind, what happens next?
Well, I think the most likely course of action is that the UN will not call for any more strikes of the kind which triggered this crisis on Thursday and Friday. Instead, they will try to let things cool down and hope that sooner or later the Serbs release the hostages. In the meantime, I think the UN will change the mission of the UN peacekeeping force in Bosnia to make it smaller, better armed, less dispersed, and in general, less vulnerable to Serb retaliation. Once that happens, the UN would be in a much better position to launch airstrikes. Now, obviously, it takes 2 to cool it. And if the Serbs decide they're on a roll and keep up their attacks on the peacekeeping forces, those troops may have to call in airstrikes simply to save themselves from being overrun. Now, those strikes would be different from the kind that were launched on Thursday and Friday. They're known as close air support, and they would be targeted directly against attacking Serb forces. The UN and NATO draw a very clear distinction between those 2 kinds of airstrikes, although I'm not sure the Serbs would appreciate the difference.
What is the role of the U.S. in the present decision-making?
Well, you know, the U.S. always has a voice, but it's going to have to take a back seat now to countries like Britain, France, Canada, countries which have troops on the ground, countries whose young men are being killed and taken hostages. Right now, France has the most countries at risk, and the UN is likely to do what France wants it to do. And the new French president has said he wants to see the UN peacekeeping force made smaller and better protected.
Okay, David Martin at the Pentagon, thank you very much. President Clinton is getting ready for a showdown with Congress over his proposal to combat terrorism in his week